Hi everyone, I'm Henri Hämäläinen, Agile coach and product organization coach from Eficode. One thing I get asked quite often is to how to get more value out of Scrum. So there are teams that companies and organizations and teams who've been using Scrum for a long time, but then still they don't really get the Scrum to bring value. So it's like Scrum-ish, or they're not really following and getting the full value out of it. So I thought that maybe it's good to explain my thinking on what really is the most valuable things in Scrum. Of course, the basic idea is the time box. You need to have the time box you actually try to follow. So you try to plan the things you want to learn in a time box, and then at the end of the sprint, you really check what you've learned, what was the kind of a mistake or the kind of error in your estimate in the beginning, and that's the kind of a key value of using Scrum. But then how to get this value is that the first thing to concentrate is this backlog refinement, which really isn't included in the sprint, but it's something that should happen maybe a week before the sprint. So you should really focus on having a good backlog refinement session where you prepare the backlog items, and there the concept is definition of ready. So you actually have a list of practices or list of rules that, hey, our backlog items need to follow these rules in order to be sufficient, in order to be in a good quality level, in order to be taken into the sprint. So backlog refinement, definition of ready is the number one thing to actually get value out of Scrum. Then the second thing which relates to this is definition of done. So have a definition of done you actually will follow. So don't build too big lists of definition of done, but focus on having the definition of done you will always follow. Definition of done is about process, not about the content. For the content there's acceptance criteria, but for process wise, hey, these are the testings we'll do, this is how we integrate, this is how we release, this is how we document, that type of things are included in the definition of done. So you need to have a definition of done everyone understands, and then you need to focus on following really closely this definition of done. And that brings me to the next item. So one key thing to have a valuable Scrum sprints is to actually separate the review and demo. So have a demo session to wider audience, to stakeholders, whomever are interested on what you actually accomplished in a sprint. That's a good way to build up the team motivation and have the possibility to show what has been done. But then have a separate review session with the team and the PO to actually go through, did we follow the definition of done? Did our items, were our items done according to the acceptance criteria? So that's the second thing that you will help everyone to become more successful in a Scrum. And then maybe the obvious one is retrospectives. Agile Scrum is all about learning. So you need to have a regular retrospective and open mind to actually look from very many different directions about how you've worked, what could be improved. There's always something to improve. There's never a perfect team. You will always have something to improve, and have different ways to look the retrospective, to do the retrospective and look for your processes. Include others, have some there are tens of different ways to do retrospective, so use some of those ones to really get the value there. So I'll just recap. For me, in order to get value out of Scrum is to have very good backlog refinement practices with definition of ready and of course acceptance criteria for the backlog items. Then have a definition of done you will actually follow, and also review it, have a sprint review, make sure you actually follow your definition of done. And then as a third item, have the retrospectives regularly, always find this one thing to improve from there. Thanks a lot.